Good morning, USA. This is your host, Mr. Nick. Shall we begin in today's news? Looks like breaking 17 minutes ago, Trump moves to restore work requirements for welfare. We'll go jump right in, and we've got a few good, very interesting articles for you tonight, or excuse me, this morning. I'm so tired, I don't know what I'm talking about half the time. Anyways, that's what happens when you get a job that ends. And we're back to using another computer. Anyway, so the Trump administration moved Wednesday to reimpose work requirements for Americans on welfare, revoking an Obama-era policy that had urged states to apply for waivers, exempting the poor from having to show they were either getting job training or looking for work. I think it's great. Hey, look, fellas, I'm poor. All you fellas and Mrs. Fellas out there, I'm poor. And I don't think if you're on welfare, you need to be looking for work. Yeah, I mean, it's plain and simple. Same with unemployment. If you're unemployed, you need to be looking for work. That's just essentially common sense. Can't have as much fun if you don't try to work. The Trump administration moved, and we already did that, sorry, requiring work was a key part of the 1996 welfare reform law enacted by GOP-led Congress and signed by then-President Clinton. Well, what do you know? A Democrat president signed that bill. Oh, good old Mr. You-know-who Clinton signed that bill for the welfare to work commitment. So anyway, requiring work was a key part of the 1996 welfare reform law enacted by GOP-led Congress and signed by then-President Clinton, and Mr. Trump's move restores the law as written. The waiver option offered by the Obama administration is being replaced today by an expectation that work should always be encouraged as a condition for receiving welfare, said Acting Assistant Secretary for Children and Families, Secretary for Children and Families, Stephen Wagner. The 2012 Obama policy didn't outright gut the welfare law. Instead, it pushed states to consider applying for waivers that would let them still pay benefits to people even if they weren't actively seeking work, job training, or meeting other criteria. The move proves to be ineffective. Just one state, Ohio, applied for a waiver in 2015, which inexplicably sat in limbo under President Obama. The Federal Health and Human Services Department said Ohio applied again 3 months ago. HHS said Wednesday that it informed Ohio the waiver was being denied. So no more welfare babies. Did I say that? Anyway, it's fine, and I think it's fine if people, if they're get married and have kids, that's fine. It's fine. Just don't make me pay for your babies, your pregnancy, or anything else. Other taxpayers, when you're putting the burden on someone else, other taxpayers, people, forcing people to pay taxes so you can go do your thing, well, that's wrong too. So the move proved to be ineffective anyway. Just one state, Ohio, applied for a waiver in 2015, which inexplicably sat in limbo under President Obama. The Federal Health and Human Services Department said Ohio applied again 3 months ago. HHS said Wednesday that it informed Ohio the waiver was being denied. And I guess that was the end of that article. So we will go to another. Let's go to another article here. Give me one. Bear with me here. So anyway, acid flashback. CIA's mind control experiment reverberates 40 years after hearing. So, 40 years later, this is by Dan Boylan, The Washington Times, and I'm reading from The Washington Times. Yes, I'm reading. That's about all I can do. I'm trying to do this on a very, 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 very small budget. And it's me, your Lone Ranger here, Mr. Nick, with Good Morning USA. 40 years later, the story still seems hard to credit. In the summer of 1977, Capitol Hill was gripped by revelations of the CIA's top-secret MK-Ultra mind control research program targeting unsuspecting American citizens, in some cases by luring them to brothels to be fed LSD-laced cocktails. Sound juicy? So let's see what we got here. Sorry, I get these ads that keep popping up. Okay, so the blockbuster hearings that summer, chaired by Senator Edward M. Kennedy, Massachusetts Democrat, and aided by a timely dump of intelligence documents, touched possibility of mind-controlled Manchurian candidates and the increasing prominence of LSD and other hallucinogenic drugs across Western culture. Although the CIA program officially ran from 1953 to 1964, its dark and fertile legacy stretches to today, living on in modern conspiracy theories about U.S. intelligence agencies' ability and willingness to manipulate society through surveillance, disinformation, celebrity culture, and strategic news leaks. Now y'all know where the fake news is coming from. Yeah, mainstream media. I gotta say, with this bad storm, this bad hurricane that went through Texas, some of them did a little bit better. I will give them credit there. But apparently CNN still needs to work on their behavior out there. Although the CIA program officially ran... Okay, we read that. So anyway, security advocates argue that domestic intelligence gathering is vital for the sake of Homeland Security. Critics counter that revelations that the CIA and the National Security Agency can hack into phones, computers, and even televisions connected to the internet show their powers are still too great and threaten essential personal liberties and constitutional protections. Yeah. For all my friends who subscribe to the Next News Network and some other places, hey there, C-Beagle. Hey there, Deplorable Rob. Hey there, Kier Love. And Edward Black. And all the rest of y'all. I really appreciate you subscribing to my channel. And, you know where I stand with liberty and the Second Amendment, the First and Second Amendments, and all that stuff. I'm pretty well there. And for any maybe would-be Trump supporters, bear in mind, I was not officially a Trump supporter. I was not a Trump supporter until about the last 2 months of his campaign. He finally sold me on what, got me to buy what he was selling. He was selling better products than the rest of the candidates. So anyway, that's my take. So if for any of you liberal people who just want to continue behaving like lunatics, for one, you're full of shit. for another, you're not gonna sell me on anyone else at this point, because I came into the being a Trump supporter very, very late in the game. It wasn't until about the last 2 months of his campaign. Anyway, so the 1977 MK-Ultra hearings first tilled similar suspicions and were considered a critical pivot in official and popular attitudes toward the nation's intelligence community, triggered in part by the shock of the Watergate scandal that they also revealed the U.S. government's covert assassination programs and surveillance of American citizens brought to light by the church committees. 1975 investigations of the FBI, CIA, and NSA. Okay, now that's where the churches can do some good. Perhaps we should have some morally correct churches out there. Maybe investigate the FBI and CIA. Just the balancing out. You know, maybe the churches can help in some way. Simply put, just maybe the churches can help in that regard and balance out the FBI and CIA and that and all their investigations and hopefully try to make things work right. Let's put it that way. We all know that many government agencies experience corruption, and at least a handful are very corrupt anyways. And really no thanks to Obama or Butthead, or whatever you call them. In the August 1977 MKUltra hearing specifically explored what seemed like an outlandish idea straight out of science fiction, the possibility of government mind control. So Kennedy, whose reputation had been severely tainted by the Chappaquiddick scandal, also had a complex relationship with the CIA, given what the agency knew about the assassinations of his brother Robert and John in the 1960s. Robert and John in the 1960s. To begin an inquiry, Kennedy told Stansfield Turner, President Carter's pick, to head the CIA in the wake of the Church Committee revelations, that he hoped the hearings would close the book on this chapter of the CIA's life. Cold War high stakes. This is Cold War high stakes. As America's Cold War anti-communism sentiment reached its zenith, CIA Director Allen Dulles created MKUltra in 1953 to succeed interrogation-related projects, codenamed Artichoke and Bluebird. The stakes were incredibly high given the Cold War hostility and global competition with Russia, the world's other major nuclear power. American prisoners from the Korean War were returning home with horrific tales of brainwashing techniques used by their Soviet, Chinese, and North Korean captors. Techniques perfected in Stalin's notorious Gulag of prisons for political dissidents. Moscow had also recently ended Washington's monopoly on nuclear weapons, and CIA counterintelligence